How's everybody doing today? Even though it's tax day. Is there anybody here tired?
Yes.
How many hours of sleep did you sleep last night?
I got about 7 hours of sleep.
Anybody else?
I got 8 hours of sleep last night.
Wow. 11.
And when you guys say you slept for 8 or 11 hours or whatever, was that in bed you were in for 8 hours, or were you actually sleeping for 8 hours?
Yeah, I was asleep for 8 hours.
Because there's an interesting thing about that. You may say you were asleep for 8 hours, but most people will say they were in bed for around 8 hours. And what I'm going to show you today is the Jawbone, and basically it's a sleep tracker and an activity tracker. And back to the sleeping. The CDC, the Central Disease Control, says you should sleep for 8 hours. So we're going to get back to that later, but basically you guys need to get more sleep. You shouldn't be tired. It's only 2 o'clock. And so yeah, I'm going to talk about the Jawbone. And the Jawbone is a band that has activity and sleep tracker, which we're going to talk about all its features coming up. According to CNET, the Jawbone Up is an incredible, easy to use, and enjoyable fitness tracker that counts sleep, steps, and calories. The Up 24 is water resistant, light, and comfortable to wear. These devices sync with iPhones and Android devices. And you can see the Jawbone comes in orange and black, and I'm going to pass the actual Jawbone device around if you want to take a look at it. No, it goes on. And that's a good question. The Jawbone is worn as a band on your arm.
Can I ask what the question is? I said, you didn't put this in your mouth, did you?
No.
You just handed it to me, and I was like,
Another quote from the New York Times. Devices like Jawbone Up are deluxe pedometers for the digital age. Sensors called accelerometers collect information about movement in 3 directions, and then algorithms analyze that movement to determine whether someone is walking, jumping, or sleeping. So there's a couple major features of the Jawbone. One is activity tracker. It has a solid state accelerometer, which is basically a little ball, and it's got 3 magnets inside, and it can tell which way it's moving. So it literally just has a ball that moves back and forth. And it can tell you how long you've been walking and how much exert you've been moving to walk, and then sleeping. Basically what it does for sleeping is when you're sleeping, when you move in your sleep. And what happens is when you wake up, you're going to suddenly, move your arms and whatnot, and it knows when you wake up. And when you roll over, it's a slightly move on the sensors. It's my time. Another feature it does is mood tracking. This is a calculated thing that in the app it does where you input what you've ate, your activity that it automatically puts into the app, and your sleep. And when you tell it you've been happy or sad that day, it can calculate what is making you happy, what is making you sad, which is interesting because what Jawbone says is people that get less sleep are more likely to be sad and depressed, which is interesting because the majority of teenagers, I would say, don't get 8 hours of sleep. Another feature it has is food and drinks. This is really common among iPhone, Android apps. It just is puts all together in this one health book. So if you have the Jawbone, you might as well use their food drinks app, which basically tells you the calories you've eaten that day, the sodium you've eaten today, and then later we're going to take a look into the app and look at what it does exactly. Another thing it does is Smart Awake. Have you ever been awoken by your alarm and you're kind of extremely tired and you don't know why? Yes. So basically what happens is with your alarm is it doesn't know your sleep cycle. So it might wake you up when you are in deep sleep, which is a big no-no when it comes to your alarms and stuff. You don't want to be awoken in your deep sleep. Because your mind is in this state of basically what happens is, here, let me just explain the chart. So there's 3 different modes. There's the activity mode when you're active, there's the light sleep mode, and then the deep sleep mode. The deep sleep mode is when you're at the stillest state. You don't want to be awoken because of the fact that you're going to be startled, you're going to be scared, and you're going to be tired. And the key with this is you tell it what time you want to wake up, and it will wake you up within 30 minutes of that time. before. It doesn't wake up you after the time. So if you want to wake up at 5:30, it's going to wake you up between 5 and 5:30. It's not going to wake you up after 5:30. But the key again is, if you look at the sleep cycle here, I was in deep sleep up until about 7 o'clock, and then it waited until 7:11 to wake me up because of the fact that I wasn't in that deep sleep mode. And I've realized from personal experience that I am a lot more active when I wake up in the morning. I don't need that coffee to get me going. I could just get right up. And another thing you can do is idle alerts. How many of you, when you get off school, you go home and you watch Netflix and you might go on for hours? Well, what the Jawbone will do is you could set alerts to where if you haven't moved within 15 or 30 minutes, it will like literally buzz and make you move, which really makes people want to go get something, go for a walk, and whatnot. So basically, this is the Jawbone. I don't know where it's at, but so this is the insides of it. Basically, this is the battery. These are the two chips that basically is solid state that stores all the information. And then the accelerometer is this thing right here. And then the way you charge this is it's got a 3.5 millimeter jack right there that plugs into a converter into a USB. The old one that was just called the Jawbone, this one's called the Jawbone Up 24, used to connect right to your audio jack in all your computers. But now since this it charges faster, they wanted to convert that to a smaller jack. So as you can see, the key there was the fact that you're supposed to wear it all the time, so therefore it has to be waterproof. And the fact that it's a band, it needs to be able to bend. And you can bend this any which direction you want, and it won't break. And then this is just the key. Look at the app. This is the activity tracker. If you look at the bottom, like the light colors is more light walking, and the darker colors is more activity, like you're running. And then the keys things it gives you is the amount of time you were active during the day, the longest active, and then the longest idle, like I said before. A lot of us go home, we'll watch TV for 4 hours, and we will never move. And that's the key here. And then also it gives you your total burn, which if you're wanting to lose weight, you want to have, obviously, you want to burn more than you're taking in. And then on your sleep, it will give you your total sleep with the percentages correlating to your age. So like I said before, teenagers, you're supposed to have about 8 hours of sleep. So this day I got 7 hours and 59 minutes, was pretty good. And then it talks about your sound sleep and fell asleep. Fell asleep is an interesting thing because a lot of people may think I fall right asleep right when I get in bed, but that's not true. Like that day, it took me 15 minutes to fall asleep. I thought I was asleep in 5 minutes, but really I wasn't. I was moving around and uncomfortable, and yeah. And then another key is how many times you woke up during the night. Can I have another minute? You may not realize you're waking up in the middle of the night, or you'll realize you're waking up, but you won't remember it when you wake up. And the key is, if you're waking up more than 5 times a night, you might want to consider, where are you sleeping? Is there distractions? Are there sounds? Is there lighting to help that? And then this is just trends that you could look at from the days, weeks, and months of your activity and sleep, and it could give you patterns and help you to become more healthy. And the key with this app, the key with the Jawbone is it's not going to force you to lose weight. It's all about being around people. The idea of, I'm going to get more steps if I take the stairs. And the idea of competitions. Both my parents have this, and they've been trying to lose weight. And I've been one of those motivation people because they'll see me at 100%, so they'll be, I got to get to 100%. And then another thing is it gives you, these are the advice it gives you at the end. And then it says, sitting more than 7 hours a day makes you 50% more likely to develop depression symptoms, like I said before. And then bedtime stories, last week you slept an average of 7 hours and 26 minutes per night. And every day it gives you these stats. So just to conclude, like I said before, this device isn't going to make you lose weight. It's all about motivation, and it's all about wanting to stay healthy. And at the end of the day, the device is just something you're wearing on your arm, and if you ignore it, well, you ignore it. But this technology of wearing health devices is coming a long way. If you look at the Samsung Galaxy Gear, it can detect your heart rate, and it can give you a flow chart of where you're at in your health, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. If you think about 5 years ago when we were wearing those pedometers that were not even digital and you had to look at them and were like, how many steps did I walk? But this calculates, it's all for you, puts in a nice graph, and puts it all in your personal health book right on your phone. Thank you.